Welcome to SYCL 360. I'm El-Khoury, and this is the 2015 AACC Annual Meeting Fall Edition. As you might have noticed, we have some exciting new changes to SYCL 360. We're transitioning to a new format with more visually appealing and engaging content. Now, before you get all excited, I must disclose that none of us has any previous journalism, video, audio, or lighting experience. So basically, we have no idea what we're doing. And this has been a steep learning curve for all of us. So we apologize in advance for any imperfections that have occurred while recording. But hey, it's not bad for a first try in using our iPhones. Highlights of this edition: summary of the annual meeting and the annual SYCL Workshop, interview with the domestic travel grant awardees, and interviews with Drs. Alan Wu and Darcy Block on their latest book publications. Stay tuned till the end to find out how to win your signed copy of these books and for a bonus clip from the meeting. In this first section, Drs. Jane Yang and Kaylin Olson present a summary of the 2015 AACC Annual Meeting in Atlanta, Georgia.
Here are highlights from the 2015 AACC Annual Meeting in Atlanta. SYCL kicked off the annual meeting with the Saturday workshop on information technology in laboratory medicine from trainee to seasoned laboratorian. Lectures from experts in the field covered the topics of big data, lab information technology, lab information systems and middleware rules, and how to improve quality in data mining. Interactive sessions sprinkled throughout the workshop gave attendees opportunities to discuss the topics at hand with their fellow workshop attendees. The workshop was followed by the SYCL Workshop Mixer against a beautiful backdrop of whale sharks, rays, and belugas, courtesy of the Georgia Aquarium. It was a unique setting to enjoy connecting with old friends and new colleagues as the excitement for the start of another AACC annual meeting was growing. There were many generous donations to the raffle, which included prizes such as AACC division memberships. The grand prize winner of the Apple Watch was none other than our AACC president, David Cook, who generously re-donated the watch for a free raffle for SYCL members at the SYCL ABCC reception on Monday. To finish off the night, current and recent fellows and graduate students gathered at Meehan's Public House to discuss various aspects of fellowship training and navigating post-fellowship opportunities. This fellows gathering has become an annual tradition to bring together those in the early part of their career in order to promote networking and career growth. Throughout the meeting, many SYCL members were recognized by AACC, the NACB, and SYCL. On Monday, there was a great turnout for the student oral presentation and poster contests. Many generous volunteers served as judges, and others came to support the many up-and-coming young laboratorians who participated. At the SYCL ABCC reception, many SYCL members and SYCL supporters converged to meet with fellow colleagues and to recognize SYCL award winners. Two SYCL members who have been significant contributors to the group and its members were honored for their service. Carmen Wiley was recognized with the SYCL Mentor Award, and Amy Sanger was awarded the SYCL Service Award. Other SYCL awardees recognized at the SYCL ABCC reception included the SYCL Travel Grant awardees and AACC Access Program student travel grantees. These awards helped assist these young laboratorians with travel expenses, allowing them the opportunity to contribute to the annual meeting by presenting abstracts and posters. So we thank all of the supporters of these grants. In addition, 2 SYCL members were recognized outside of the reception when they received prestigious awards for their research achievements from the AACC and NACB. The AACC Outstanding Scientific Achievements by a Young Investigator Award went to Kara Lynch, and Mark Marzinke received the NACB George Granis Award for Excellence in Research and Scientific Publication. It was another great annual meeting in 2015. Congratulations to all of the awardees, and thanks to all of the SYCL members for making the events a great success. If we missed highlighting any SYCL members who received special recognition, to you we also extend our compliments. We look forward to seeing you all next year in Philadelphia.
Next, Dr. Brenda Sue Lalem covers the SYCL Workshop, held on the Saturday before the annual meeting at the beautiful Georgia Aquarium, including interviews with SYCL members who were in attendance.
This is a brief overview of the 2015 SYCL Workshop titled Information Technology in Laboratory Medicine from Trainee to Seasoned Laboratorian, which took place at a beautiful Georgia Aquarium on Saturday, July 25th. This year's workshop was an interactive session where 3 experts in the field of information technology highlighted key topics as it pertains to laboratory medicine, both in the clinical and research settings. The first topic was Big Data Capture and Analysis, presented by Dr. Steve Master. Dr. Master is an Associate Professor of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine at the Weill Cornell Medical College and the Director of the Central Laboratory at the New York Presbyterian Hospital. In his talk, Dr. Master pointed to the laboratory as being a big data generator. He pointed out that different types of data are generated in the laboratory, and data is even obtained with every sample measurement. He also pointed out how important it is for the field of laboratory medicine to improve its quantitative analysis capacity and to add value to the data that comes out of the laboratory. He also discussed the availability of tools that the clinical laboratory can use to analyze big data. He highlighted the analytical tool R, which is freely available and has several different functionalities as a good tool for this purpose. He also used a case study to illustrate big data analysis in laboratory medicine. Introduction to Lab IT, LIS, and middleware rules was the next topic. It was presented by Dr. Mark Savinsky and Frank Polito. Dr. Savinsky is an assistant professor of pathology at the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth and the director of clinical chemistry and point-of-care testing at the Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. Frank Polito is the supervisor of the chemistry and endocrinology laboratory at the Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. Dr. Savinsky and Frank discussed several tools available to the laboratory, including auto-verification, which is an important tool in the clinical laboratory that uses computer-based rules to verify test results. They discussed what the components of the auto-verification system are and the types of rules that are needed. Using examples, they demonstrated how the rules for auto-verification are written using if and then statements. Delta checks is also another important tool in the laboratory that identifies changes in laboratory results. Delta checks can identify both analytical and non-analytical errors. The rules for delta checks are built in the middleware, also using if and then statements. They then gave an overview of moving averages, discussing what moving averages is and the challenges encountered when setting up moving averages. They then had an interactive session whereby attendees were divided into groups. Each group was assigned different clinical laboratory scenarios and asked to use if and then statements to create a rule that would address that particular situation. The final topic was mining patient data to improve laboratory quality. This was presented by Dr. Gary Horowitz. Dr. Horowitz is an associate professor of pathology at the Harvard Medical School and the medical director of clinical chemistry at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Dr. Horowitz discussed different ways of using patient data to improve laboratory quality, some of which are highlighted below. Using an example, he talked about using data mining as a source of reference intervals. One of the ways in which this can be done is by using the Hoffman technique. Data mining can also be used to generate patient medians, which can be monitored in the laboratory as a quality indicator. He also touched on some examples of next-generation QA/QI activities which use patient data to look at frequency of testing, interesting values, quality or meaning of results, and for writing rules. He also gave several specific examples of patient data mining in different laboratory tests to improve quality. Following the workshop was the SYCL Mixer. This provided an engaging networking opportunity, complete with refreshments and raffles with multiple prizes. Awards were also presented to the workshop presenters at the Mixer. The video of the SYCL Workshop is available online in the SYCL community under Career Guidance.
Okay, so SYCL 360, I have Claire Kanezha-Fish with me today, and she is a postdoc right now, but she's very interested in becoming a clinical chemist. So Claire, what part of the workshop really interested you?
Well, the most interesting part for me was the interactive part where we all got together in groups and we wrote logic rules for responding to different test results and what should happen after that in terms of auto-verification. So that's what I found the most exciting and interesting today.
Oh yeah, that was certainly interesting, and I really like getting to know the people on my table. So any take-home messages you would like to share with us today?
So the take-home messages that were really emphasized were learning R, the program R for statistically analyzing our data, and also the power of all the data that's collected in the lab anyways, mining that to improve the function of the lab.
Excellent. Thank you so much for talking with SYCL 360 today. We certainly look forward to seeing you more at AACC as you take your journey to being a clinical chemist.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you. So I'm here with Joseph Weinsack, who is a clinical chemistry fellow at Vanderbilt. Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
So we just finished the SYCL 360 workshop, and I just wanted to know from you, what part of it interested you the most?
Well, to be honest, everything was pretty fascinating in a sense, being a new fellow in a COMAC program. But what I found really interesting was the approach to reference intervals and kind of being able to shift them across the lines based on your instrumentation, your patient population, and kind of getting out of the lab and approaching physicians and mentioning it to them that may change in a sense from the publication aspect of the reference intervals.
Excellent. So as a young clinical chemistry fellow, what aspect of the workshop do you think would be most relevant to you as you go on with your training?
Well, that's a great question. I think what I really liked was, and something that I became interested at Vanderbilt a lot about, is middleware and basically how it connects and talks to each systems and the critical flags that may be set up so that there could be extra reviews that go on. So.
Oh, great. See, he's already getting there. So it was really great talking to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you more as you go on with your training.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In this next section, Dr. Deborah French interviews the winners of the 2015 SYCL Domestic Travel Grants. Unfortunately, due to the reduced support this year, there were only 3 award winners, and this interview highlights the importance of this award to those who receive it. We encourage individuals from industry or in AACC local sections to help support this award.
Today we're at the beautiful Georgia Aquarium after the SYCL Workshop, and I'd like to introduce the SYCL Travel Award winners, domestic travel award winners, Val, Maria and Shima. So I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. I would love to tell you the fact that I've come a long way to be part of AACC. I'm originally from Lithuania, which is many thousands of miles away, and I've come to study and understand clinical chemistry. I have an organic chemistry background, and I think this is a very exciting field to be a part of, especially as it's moving forward, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks to you guys.
Hi, thank you so much for having us here. My name is Maria. I'm not going to tell you my last name, but I'm coming from Russia. I came here to study PhD in photo and biochemistry, and I graduated in 2003, and now I'm a first-year fellow at Henry Ford Hospital. Actually, when I graduated with my PhD, I had no idea that PhDs can practice alongside physicians to better diagnose patients. And it wasn't until I was introduced to Dr. Lutzi. So big thank you to her for introducing me to this amazing field.
Hi, I'm Shima, in my final year dissertation stage of PhD from Cleveland State University. And I work with proteins related to bleeding and clotting, basically hemostasis and thrombosis. And my overwhelming desire to work with laboratory testing and clinical fields, that's the reason I'm here. So nice to meeting you.
What does winning a SYCL domestic travel grant mean to all of you?
I think winning the SYCL award is a very humbling experience at first, because you start asking yourself, well, why me, How much better am I than the other people? But at the same time, I think it helps students a lot because it reinforces them and allows them to be certain of their abilities and actually push further and develop their careers. And it's a great chance, in my opinion.
Winning a SYCL grant means a ton to me, especially because I've never won anything in my life. So I appreciate it very much. But honestly, winning this grant gave me an opportunity to come here. Clinical chemistry is a fast evolving area, and coming to the meeting is simply the best way to learn about the innovations and what the field can offer to you nowadays. And also, of course, connecting and meet different people and possibly future colleagues.
It means a lot to me. It's awesome. And this is a grant which gave me an opportunity to cover all my domestic travels. And this is one of the greatest opportunity where I could get into a lot of brown bag sessions and most of the ticketed sessions which I couldn't do without it. So it made my percent of my dream come true. So I'm really thankful for SYLC.
So what I'm hearing from all three of you is that you probably wouldn't have been able to attend the AACC meeting without the travel grant. Is that fair to say?
The truth of the matter is that at this point in your career, we would borrow money to go to AACC if that's what it takes. The fact that we appreciate you giving us money to travel here, it's wonderful. It allows others to perhaps use the department's funding and, bring more CSU students here. If that's okay with you, that's okay with me. It really does help. We'll be here no matter what. It just makes that a lot easier. So we appreciate it.
Yes, I wouldn't be able to come here without this opportunity because Henry Ford is a non-for-profit organization, and they just simply didn't have money to send their students this year to meetings, and then I wouldn't simply be able to afford coming to Atlanta out of my pocket. So again, winning this grant means a lot for us. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what will you be presenting at the AACC Annual Meeting?
I'm going to be presenting my poster, and the topic is molecular defects on the exocytes of thrombin, which results in the thrombin defects in the thrombin generation. So basically. Thank you.
This year at AACC, I am going to present a poster which is devoted to maltose interferences with glucose meters. And it's Inform 2, AccuCheck Inform 2 glucose meter. And it's a test that we usually do at bedsides on patients in our hospital. And I believe that my research has implicated patient safety in our hospital. I'm very excited to talk about it.
So, in my case, we're trying to explore the idea that when trying to understand the function of your body to maintain hemostasis, a lot of people would ignore the function of the endothelium. And in our research, we're dealing with a protein that is expressed on endothelium, and we're looking at the effects of phospholipids and how they affect the capacity to generate clots as well as dissolve the clots. And I think this is interesting research because it makes us think about additional parameters when establishing whether the coagulation profile is normal or abnormal.
In our final section, you will see interviews I conducted with Drs. Alan Wu and Darcy Block about their latest book publications. Hi, we're at the AACC Bookstore, and it's my pleasure to be here with Dr. Alan Wu, Professor of Laboratory Medicine and Chief of the Clinical Chemistry Laboratories at San Francisco General Hospital, and also author of The Hidden Assassin When Clinical Lab Tests Go Awry, Toxicology, because what you don't know can kill you, Microbiology, because what you don't know will kill you, and finally, the sequel to The Hidden Assassin, which is Performance-Enhancing Drugs and Adulterants. Alan, great books. I have to say I just finished my copy of Toxicology. I know I'm behind, but I loved it. I want to say it's really entertaining and it's amazing. And I want to ask you, what was your inspiration for writing these 4 books?
Well, first let me say, Joe, thank you for having me here today. I'm always happy to talk about my books. You know, the inspiration was that I think that we need to, as a profession, do a little bit of a better job of advertising what it is that we do. Because if we don't, I think in the future we're going to have, we're going to be facing budget cuts. It's always the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, and unfortunately people don't think that we're that important. And we need to speak up. We need to tell these stories because they are important, and this is my way to sort of say we need to promote ourselves a little bit better.
I agree, and that seems to be the general response when I went on Amazon. I wanted to see, the reviews and how, how the books were appreciated by the general public, and really it was 5 stars across all the reviews on all the books. And I was really fascinated because I saw one review by a 13-year-old girl that actually said, she loved it and she finished the book in 4 hours, so she was a lot quicker than me, and I was amazed by that. So it really, really shows how exciting and how much reception this has received outside of the medical professional community. So I want to ask you, was this something that you originally, planned, and was this an expectation that you had when you kind of thought of these books and published them?
No. At first it was just trying to put some thoughts together of some cases that I've been involved with, and never did I really think that this would morph into the number of books that I've written. But it has been a labor of love, I have to say, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've sort of switched a little bit about what I do now and spend a little bit less time on cardiac markers and clinical and analytical toxicology, and more on telling stories.
And excellent, great segue for my next question. So the stories that you present, some of them are actually really sad and heartbreaking, and some of them have happy endings. But a very important question that has always been in my mind when I was reading toxicology books, are these based on true clinical cases that you've encountered?
So the first 2 books, yes, mostly based on clinical cases that, not just that I've encountered, but that are perhaps in the literature as case reports or stories that other people have told me. The 3rd and 4th books are more about science and more about stories that relate to science, but not necessarily things that I've been involved with. For example, the performance-enhancing drugs. My lab doesn't really do that kind of testing, but we all do testing for testosterone and HCG and growth hormone, and those are included in those stories.
And so what was the hardest part of writing these 4 books?
It's getting it out there. It's making people know that it is available. I don't have an agent. I don't have a publisher. It is self-published. AACC's done a great job in publicizing to members. And I don't think it's been so much of a problem getting members knowledgeable about this. But the idea is that we need to stimulate the public to read this. and I don't really have a really direct avenue to do that.
And now you've brought your total to 4 books under this same arena. So you've seen success, obviously, with the first 2. Any plans of getting more of these out? Are you currently working on any similar books?
Well, funny that you should ask. I think that the best way to get this out is actually a television series. And I've hired an agent to try to sell this to some of the networks like Netflix or Showtime to see if they might be interested in producing a series, sort of like crime scene investigation, CSI.
Yep.
You know, very popular, lots of spin-offs. It's got really done a lot for science, but that series is not real. I mean, some of the things that they do analytically can't be done. And I think that if we were to do something like this, it would have to be based on our real capabilities, both good things and bad things.
Do you have any advice for our SYCL members who are really interested in writing their first book? And what advice would you give them if they wanted to start the process?
You know, it's a lot easier than I thought to get these stories published through Amazon. I'm not making any pitches for them directly, but you know, SYCL members, if they have stories and they're compelling and want to tell the stories, that's the starting point. Write it down so that it's fresh. And then when you meet people, you know, the old adage, well, what do you do for a living? And then people say, well, I work in a lab. And then people say, well, what does that mean? And then there's glazed look on everybody's face. And that's really kind of the wrong approach. Excuse me. I think that when asked that question from our families or friends or people that we encounter, we don't just say what we do, we say why what we do is so important. I was working on a case. There was a 34-year-old who had this or that, and here's what happened, and here's what we did, and here's why it made such a difference. Now it's not just what is it that you do for a living, it's why what you do for a living is so important. And that starts with everybody.
And I couldn't agree more. And I have to say, like I said, the toxicology book that I just finished is really exciting, entertaining, and what I loved about it absolutely is always, even as a clinical chemist, I really don't have that much background in toxicology, so the helpful notes that you have in the end were really great, and I think they'd be helpful for anybody studying for boards for toxicology, and it's an entertaining way to do that. So get a copy at the bookstore for yourself, for your kids, for your parents, so they know what you do. And I also have a surprise for you guys. So I'm going to have Alan sign his latest book. We're going to get it here to SYCL 360, and then we're going to give that book away to whoever sends the emails to the following link. We're going to do a raffle at SYCL 360, and then we're going to give that away to a lucky winner. So please be sure to get your copies from Alan Wu's books, and thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Joe.
Pleasure to be here. Hi, we're here at the AACC Bookstore at the AACC Annual Meeting, and I'm here with Dr. Darcy Block, co-director of the Central Clinical Laboratory at Mayo Clinic. Hi, Darcy, and thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Joe. It's nice to be here. Unfortunately, my co-author for our quick guide of body fluid testing that we're going to talk about was not able to make it. So sorry, Deanna Frankie couldn't make it, but I'm happy to answer your questions.
Great, thank you. And we're sorry for that as well, but we're very happy to have you here to talk about quick guide to body fluid testing. And what I want to first ask you is what is included in the guide and how will it benefit the readers?
So what we tried to strive for was to break down body fluid testing in kind of the total testing process. So what you'll see is 3 parts. The first is covers some pre-analytical considerations. A big section in the middle covers analytical considerations, and then we talk a little bit about some post-analytical things to think about when reporting body fluid results. And hopefully our readers will benefit from all of those components coming together when offering body fluid tests.
Great. So why did you decide to write on this subject?
It's kind of a long story, but I was approached by one of the members of the AACC Press Committee, Allison Woodworth, to write this book quite a few years ago. And then the idea percolated for quite a while, and eventually Deanna and I got around to actually writing it and getting it out for publication this year.
Wow, congratulations for that.
Thanks.
And did you have any advice that you want to give to SYCL members who are interested in publishing their first book?
Well, I think it was luck and serendipity, but I think my advice would be to put your interests out there. Networking, I think, is a big part, and submit proposals to the AACC meeting, because those ideas are eventually what gets you noticed for webinars and potentially writing a book.
And I want to say I actually have my copy right here, which I want to have Darcy sign for a lucky member that we're going to give away in the end. And I have to say I really, really enjoyed it. And what's most important for me, and I found very helpful, is the really nice figures that you have for the experiments that you're going to perform. And in addition, the table in the end that summarizes all the reference ranges you need for each body fluid and by test type. This is something that I couldn't find in the CLSI guideline when I wanted to do this. It's not as straightforward as this quick guide. So it's excellent. I recommend you get your copy in store. And for the lucky member, all you need to do is send an email to the email shown on the link below or on the screen, and we'll be sending it after doing a raffle, and whoever gets it is going to be the lucky person to do that. So
I'm happy to sign a copy, and I'm glad that you found it useful.
Thank you, Darcy, very much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's all, folks. To enter the raffle for a chance to win the signed copies of the books discussed in the interviews, simply like this video on the AACC Artery or comment in the SYCL 360 Editions Artery thread. 2 random winners will be selected from the list of likers and commenters by December 1st, 2015. This is also your chance to let us know how we're doing, so please comment about this edition. We would love to get your feedback. Finally, I'll leave you with our bonus clip and a few words of wisdom from the chair of SYCL, Dr. Shannon Heyman. Thank you for watching. Hi, we're the SYCL Mixer, and we're here at the Georgia Aquarium, and I'm here with Dr. Shannon Heyman. Shannon, what would you like to tell our SYCL members?
I'd like to tell the SYCL members to have a great time at the annual meeting and to get involved with SYCL. It's one of the most visible committees within AACC, and it has a ton of support from the board and from the staff. What you do in SYCL today will help you be a leader both in the organization and in your own personal career.
And more importantly, we're fun.
Yeah, we are.